Oh, God.
It's all evidence, isn't it, for the court one day?
Yep, it's all down on celluloid or whatever the podcast equivalent is.
It's celluloid. I'm recording on 35mm.
You're a purist.
God, this podcast is awful, but it sounds great. Join me, Christopher Nolan. In my podcast. Today I've got Matthew McConaughey, but he's not going to say anything because it's my podcast. Isn't that right? Shh.
Can you imagine a podcast where nobody talks?
I think it'd go a little something. Oh, this is the tiredness setting in.
Yeah, fuck, I'm exhausted.
Welcome to One Good Thing, the podcast that is a matriarchy. It doesn't come up very often, but it is. I'm Paul Salt.
I'd make a pretty good cop.
Nah.
Oh.
Oh, sorry, mate. I mean, maybe after a bunch of training.
What's even the point?
Give me the gun now! And today we should be discussing John Carpenter's Ghosts of Mars.
It was supposed to be a routine prisoner transport.
Williams was arrested on the suspicion of murdering 6 rail workers. The bodies were hung and decapitated.
But here, a million miles from home.
Hello? Anybody here?
Drop your weapon.
I ain't going back.
They're about to discover nothing is what it seems.
The words John Carpenter's appears before the titles of some of the best genre movies of the 70s and 80s. Also this.
What the hell was that?
I don't know.
It turned out to be his penultimate film. He had one last crack at relevancy in 2010 with The Ward.
How did that go?
Pretty good. He won all the Oscars. Now he's David Fincher.
The American dream.
He won the title of David Fincher. Passed down from one great filmmaker to the next.
What happened to David Fincher? Just ash now.
What, Bill Toby? He went back to his job at the greengrocers, I think.
In a car shop.
Also, he won car for each of the deadly sins. This one's gluttony. I hate it. I don't even want to think about it. Please. Yes, after The Ward, he decided to retire from movies and focus on his music. And he's doing a new tour, out now. He is also, he's touring Britain. I'm going to go see him and ask him to answer for this. I'm going to fling the DVDs at him and they'll slice them up like the discs from the film. Although he is returning to movies to executive produce the new Halloween movie. I think the point is, no matter how retired you are, there's always time to come back and flog a dead horse, if it's showing just a little bit of life.
It twitched! Quick, get it!
No, I still don't think we've gotten this quite right, guys. One more pass.
It's like a fine wine. You keep adding things to it, right? To make it better.
Critics reacted to Ghosts of Mars like a surprise nipple piercing. John J. Puccio, over at Movie Metropolis, said, Mad Max heads for the angry planet on a pitch-black night of the living dead. Bit of a seeing eye review there.
I don't know. I thought they were going to say Angry Birds. It shows where my mind's at.
Is there a reference to Hedwig and the Angry Inch in there? Maybe. Cross your eyes more. David N. Butterworth at Movie Birth. Oh! It's Movie Buff, but spelt birth like the French for beef.
Oh.
I didn't get that. I was like, wait, Shia LaBeouf?
I thought because of your charming TH fronting that you were saying Movie Birth. B-E-R-T-H.
Movie Birth, huh?
I just couldn't even begin to fathom what that was getting at. But
I couldn't even begin to guess what you were fucking saying.
It's great. It's so great.
It's amazing. Well done, David N. Butterworth, assuming you had anything to do with it. As Ghosts of Mars movies go, John Carpenter's is probably the best. Oh, yes? All the creativity was spent on the title of that website. After that, it's just pure redundancy.
And in his name. Do you know what kind of upkeep that needs?
I'm David N. Butterworth. I'm here to review your movie. Play it immediately.
Golly. Well, I haven't got it, so I'll just stab it out on my chest for you, if that's all right.
This is a W.H. Smith you've just walked into. Whatever.
Shush, Tony, don't. That's David N. Butterworth. Oh, God, sorry, sir. Sorry. I didn't realise.
Sorry, Mr. Butterworth.
Didn't realise you were David Butterworth.
The public weren't any less shoving railroad spikes through their nose. Darth Masiek, who is a top 1,000 reviewer for Amazon. Only 999 like him. He said in the title of his review, great idea, good actors, Natasha Henstridge, nice effects, all comprehensively Jar Jar Binksed by poor scenario. There's a verb for you.
What's the meaning behind the expression Natasha Henstridge?
What did you think of the film?
She's
Natasha Henstridge. Yeah, I guess. I see that.
It very much depends on the tone that you say it, I suppose.
Natasha Henstridge. Get out of here, Mr. Butterworth.
Natasha Henstridge.
Oh.
Natasha Henstridge? Natasha Henstridge.
Natasha Henstridge.
That's more of a voice than a tone, isn't it?
Yeah.
Natasha Henstridge.
That's pretty good. Andy Lana at Amazon said, "This is a bit of a tongue-in-cheek movie with some very cheesy lines. It's an early outing for Jason Statham, but I'm not a fan of his work. The story is a good one, as you expect from John Carpenter, but his work could have been much done better justice with bigger effects budget. And a big-name actor. Having said that, an old movie is that is fun to watch, quite gory, even faintly amusing. You could even snigger at some of the effects. It's a blast from the past. It is one of them movies you remember with fondness, but buy second-hand."
Natasha Henstridge.
Natasha Henstridge?
How would you say Natasha Henstridge in a way that complimented this guy's cavalier grasp of grammar?
Natasha Henstridge.
Natasha Henstridge.
Natasha Henstridge.
Natasha, and then you just blow up and shit yourself.
Is this what that podcast is like every week? Yeah, it is. It always ends up with them just saying Natasha Henstridge to each other. Hours and hours and hours.
At last it's relevant, but we don't know what to do with it now.
We're going to keep funding it. Just kidding, fans. No one's funding us. One last review. O'Shea Jackson Sr. said, "I don't like that movie. I'm a big fan of John Carpenter, but they really didn't have the money to pull the special effects off." Pretty harsh. I want to be that guy.
Harsh but fair from O'Shea Jackson Sr.
Harsh judgment. The movie has 21% on Rotten Tomatoes and made barely half its production budget. So, Paul, you pointless framing device.
Rawr.
Excuse me, I speak Mars Ghost. Perhaps I can communicate with the hordes and get them to disperse. That sounds like a good idea. Thank you. Oh, you know what? I think my pronunciation was a little off. What's one thing about Ghosts of Mars that made you want to pull off your skin with glee?
Jason Statham was a cheeky chappy, wasn't he?
He's a cheeky chappy. He had a little bowler hat.
Oh, he had a bit of a Dick Van Dyke about him, didn't he?
He had a pork pie with some mustard.
Snapping his neck like that, snapping his elbows, giving it a bit of, all right, Mary Poppins.
Clicking his
all right,
eels.
Natasha, gonna come and sit in my face, Natasha? Gonna come and rub me up the right way? You gonna, I'm a genie in a bottle, Natasha?
It was lots of really harmless, lovely, sort of old-fashioned classic movie flirting.
Need some help with that?
You're persistent, aren't you?
I've changed a few minds in my time. There's not many of us breeders around. I'd hate to miss a chance to give it a go. What do you say?
Oi, oi, sit on this. Well, hey!
Yeah.
Aw, that's how my granddad got my grandmum.
Explains a lot.
Well, that sounds surprisingly fraught with bad feelings. Tell me about Ghosts of Mars. John Carpenter's Ghosts of Mars.
Well, John Carpenter, the author, the visionary, has decided to tell this magical story in the form of a military debrief.
Oh,
Not
yeah.
just any military debrief. The one-shadest, monotonest, no hidden secrets military debrief that a man could imagine.
The plan was simple. Sergeant Jericho, the science officer, and I jumped off the train and headed towards the power plant. The others stayed aboard the train as it backed into the station. The idea was they'd provide cover and distract the Martians as we set the charges in the plant. Then they'd swing back, pick us up, and we'd all get as far away from Shining Canyon as we could before the place blew. Like I said, it was a simple plan. The only problem was it didn't work the way it was supposed to.
That's how I like my debriefs. Turn all the lights on, and let there be any weird things where someone could hide all their secrets.
Natasha Henstridge is found handcuffed to a bloody train.
Yeah.
Like a woman. And she's then brought into a debrief and said, "Explain yourself."
She reveals that, in fact, she and her squad were on a mission to an old Western-style town on Mars, which has been colonized, by the way. Like 80% colonized, I think it said.
Yes.
Which is good.
Yes. It's like Canada.
They'll get that last 20% as soon as Gus the Penguin fucks off. So yes, their job was to head into this sleepy little town, a mining town, where everyone just likes to have fun and mine, and extract a prisoner who's there for some reason, and bring him back to the big city.
Yes, he goes by the name of Desolation Williams. Try and say that and sound in any way cool, imposing.
What could this mean, Desolation?
That's my name.
Don't wear it out. Seriously, don't say it ever again for the rest of the film. It's...
Please, for the love of God. I know I'm Ice Cube, but Yeah. So they go to this place. They've got to transport him for a reason. The head of the troop is played by Pam Grier, Jackie Brown.
Jackie herself.
Remember her? They get to whatever the fuck the place is called, and what is it called?
Oh, I don't know. Something Canyon. Sunshine Canyon.
That's it. Golden Canyon or some shit.
Yeah. Caster Sugar Canyon.
Rainbow Canyon.
Dave's Canyon.
There's no one there. So they go and inspect all the hangars. There's no one there. Oh, except for a couple of people.
Except for some people.
Zombies?
No, we find some cellmates, and they're all weird. Yeah. And then we find some non-cellmates, and they're all weird.
Yeah.
I feel like we have at least 3 flashbacks before we get to this point, because they separate is the thing. And then when they meet back up again, we need to see the side of the story that we just missed, which was someone going and trying to open a door, failing to open a door, and so just coming back again. Yeah,
including about 10 seconds of the interaction that we'd already seen, leading on to the bit that we haven't seen, just so we know which bit it is, because we couldn't have figured that out.
Jesus Christ,
with all that dialogue that's been happening in this film, like a Tarantino movie, for God's sake. They decide to do some searching. They're put upon, there's a lot of people hanging by the neck.
All dead.
Or by the feet. Dead. They're all dead. There's a woman who looks like Ellen DeGeneres in the prisons. She's not dead.
Yep.
But she looks like Ellen DeGeneres. so there's a whole story there. And
that we don't get to hear.
And then they finally find Desolation Williams.
Yes, okay. We're going to have to question Desolation Williams. Oh, we're going to have a big, menacing character introduction for... Oh, no, there he is.
Oh, hello.
Hello, Desolation. Just cut to him in a flat wide.
Big old favourite of John Carpenter, the flat wide in this film.
In fact, isn't it a classic? Wasn't Omar Sharif's character in Lawrence of Arabia introduced that way by just fucking cutting to him?
It's a very intuitive method John Carpenter's employed for this film that's allowed the audience to cast their eyes on the vast landscape of shit that a normal close-up would have precluded. Is that a real set? Maybe. So
Desolation Williams, do you know what happened here? Fuck you, pigs. I fucking hate you both. Oh, you're an interesting, charismatic lead. Great. Look forward to spending the rest of the movie with you.
There's some more searching.
Well, Jason Statham takes this opportunity to go up a hill. In fact, yes. Yeah. So at this stage in the military briefing, our lead chick, Natasha Henstridge, tells us about the time that Jason Statham told her a story about going up a hill and meeting 2 guys who tell him a story about having fled a cave after some weird gas came out. Oh, there's a scientist about the place too, by the way.
Oh, yeah. You didn't actually follow up on your setup from the beginning of the podcast. This is where we see the lady with the surprise booby piercing. She puts Pam Grier's head on a stick.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, we should mention that too. One of the main character, the leader character. Yeah, her head's on a stick.
Whoops. There's a fantastic montage of what Jason Statham sees of various possessed people just slicing heads off, and doing things like wearing skin and screaming and digging in the ground, interspersed with Jason Statham's like leery half Benny Hill grin, going, "Oh, crikey!"
Well, it's
bloody hell.
It's at this stage that he gets on the fucking radio back to the team and says, "I think we got a bit of a situation here."
Better get your shooter. But it's shot as a montage. It's the weirdest. Anyway.
And that's when we hear the Martian language, which sounds every bit as eloquent as a grown man struggling with his fucking prosthetic. Which is genuinely why it sounds like da 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 da.
So that happens, and then Natasha Henstridge goes, "All right, well, I better go back into the room that I just came out of." Oh no! Desolation Williams got out somehow. Clea Duvall and the guy that plays Descanso.
Yeah, it turns out those 2 fucking guys that he picked up, 3 guys, sorry, they turned out to be Desolation Williams' crew. So, no, sorry, he gets out twice.
He gets out twice. The first time because the 2 rookies, Clea Duvall and Descanso, let him out to give him some water. And they unshackle him
entirely, every part of him. There you go. You might want to use your ankles to drink this water.
and surprise, surprise, Desolation Williams, murderer of 6 people, gets out and holds Clea Duvall at knife point. So Natasha Henstridge goes, take me. And he goes, yeah, this seems like a good idea. So he does that. She then does her judo chop on him.
Yeah. She does a special judo chop.
Yeah. And he goes, "Oh, you got me there," and then he telegraphs a punch, and Natasha Henstridge just waits to see what happens. So she's knocked out, and then Ice Cube saves her life, and then she saves Ice Cube's life, and then that's enough to convince him to go with her to go like back in the prison cell. And then Jason Statham brings in the three guys. One of whom is in a new metal band. The other two just don't fucking know. One of them wishes he was in Assault on Precinct 13. They come in, and it turns out that they're Ice Cube's friends. So that
they're his mates.
They've got guns.
They let him out, but then Natasha Henstridge... They open the door, go in to say,
amazing.
"Yay!" And Natasha Henstridge just closes the fucking door behind them. And they all, four of them go, "Fuck!"
Smart plan, Desolation.
Shit!
We're such idiots! Oh,
Always do this!
why? It's at this stage where... Fuck me, there's some malarkey, and she lets them out again, because why the fuck not? And they all agree to trust each other and be nice. Mm-hmm. There's a bit more of a rapey scene. She beats someone up, and then it's not that bad anymore. Anyway, she says, "So, what are the name of your unpleasant boys here that I really, really don't like, everyone?" This is Unos, Dos, and Julian. Hi, Julian. Sup?
Shut up, Julian. You don't talk.
Oh,
yeah, Uno, Dos, and Tres. Fantastic. There's some great script writing. John Carpenter and Larry Elkin.
Well done,
Whoever
both.
you are.
They come back into the main room where they have everyone else locked up in jail cells, and the old man is fucking spasming in the corner and cutting his face and, clawing at his arms and such. And Natasha Henstridge just says, "How long's this been going on for?" And the dancer chick just says, "Oh, a while."
Yeah.
It's probably turning into a zombie. Oh, that was it. Could you let us out, please?
At this stage, they decide they have to come up with a plan because there's a lot of miners. The issue is that when they were digging and colonizing Mars, and God, what a colonization they achieved! they unearthed a tomb which was not built by man.
Yeah,
says Ellen DeGeneres, and some red mist came out, which is ghosts, and they seep into the minds of the miners,
through
and the
the
miners
ear.
Then all started to feel partial to cutting off their own skin, piercing it, cutting off the skin of other people, and then wearing that skin.
Yeah, they get Evil Dead syndrome. Yes, it's very dangerous, in fact. When you kill a ghost that's in a person, the ghost will leave the body and head for the nearest person possessing them. So, basically, you're going to have to be very tactical. You can't just run around shooting them, because otherwise it will free all of the ghosts and put you at risk. So they decide to go outside and start shooting them.
Yes.
There's a brief montage of preparing for this, which includes a man cutting off his own thumb, which never comes up again.
Nope, that's that comedy. That's that Paul Verhoeven vibe that we all know and love.
Love it.
Buy that for $1. Rather than have an interesting mission where they just maim people and do that in interesting, funny ways, they just kill people and risk all getting possessed. And would you believe it? When they do that, Natasha Henstridge gets possessed.
Yes, that does happen. There's a big fight scene where extras are clearly seen running around in circles in the background. And then Natasha Henstridge gets possessed.
Desconso dies. No.
Desconso dies. Oh! I think Unos does, or Tres die. Not whoever that was. No! Natasha Henstridge gets possessed by a ghost.
Oh, yeah, okay.
After Jason Statham has a good old snog on her, they decide, oh god, she's possessed by a ghost. Let's just take her outside. And Jason Statham decides to spike her just before they do that. They slip her one of the hallucinogenic drugs that she's quite fond of taking.
Yeah.
She trips balls, sees the Martians in their original state, manages to overthrow the possession somehow, and comes back in and says, Guys, I've got new insights into the Martians. Yeah? What can you tell us? They don't like us very much. Okay. So, how did you not get possessed? I guess it was the drugs. Oh, okay. Do we all need to take drugs then and have a crazy psychedelic battle against the fucking bad guys? No.
No, they're my drugs.
Just run. No, these are my drugs.
These are Natasha's druggy wuggies.
Look, it says. Oh, all right. We've written it on.
It does say.
There's a little smiley face over the in the A for Natasha. All three of them.
That is my face. And it is her face.
So that now they just go out and shoot them.
Yeah, and then so more people die, and then eventually...
Yeah.
Did Jason Statham die? I read in the Wikipedia that Jason Statham dies, but I didn't see it.
Basically, eventually it comes down to just being Natasha Henstridge and Ice Cube. Desolation Williams.
So he does die. He is dead in this story.
Must be.
Oh,
God.
Along with Desconso. Oh
no!
I've got to stop saying it because I'm making myself sad.
So, yeah, they pull into the station. Then we get to where we left. Oh, no, he slips away. He handcuffs her to the bed.
Yeah. He stitches her up, and then he stitches her up, doesn't he?
He handcuffs her to the bed, then he buggers off, and she gets arrested by that matriarchy she's part of. And they put her on trial, and, it's like, then what happened? Okay, well, go to your room. Oh, there's ghosts. Oh, no. Desolation Williams shows up, throws her a machine gun, and they go to do what they do best.
Witty banter.
Which is looking down doing witty banter and looking down the camera lens.
To fuck the audience.
If you ever want to come to the other side, you make a hell of a crook.
You'd make a hell of a cop.
Let's just kick some ass.
It's what we do best.
And that's the end. And then Uwe Boll comes in with a guitar, and that's it for 10 minutes.
Oh, God. All right, well, that was Ghosts of Mars. Now,
fuck me.
Before we discuss it, I did ask you to watch a second film this week.
Yes.
I asked you, if you wouldn't mind terribly, watching John Carpenter's Assault on Precinct 13. From 1978, which was his first big... Oh, no, I know what you did.
Oh, shit. I watched Battlefield Earth.
All right. Well, how did Barry Pepper's performance as Caveman compare to the Ice Cube?
Well, I can probably, based on... I've seen the thing. I can probably guess what Assault on Precinct 13 is, right?
Just Paul, tell me about Assault on Precinct 13.
Oh, Assault on Precinct 13 was quite good. It's classical Carpenter, I'd say. It's got the music and it's got the sort of brooding pacing of a classic Carpenter.
The wonderful pacing,
Yeah.
the narrative simplicity. I mean, that really is something that just follows him all the way through his work.
The crazy extras.
He's got the crazy extras, the eccentric performances.
He's got the Tina.
It's just a crowd pleaser. Is the thing. I've seen it with an audience recently, just at the BFI, and it just goes down well. There's a lot of funny lines. There's larger than life characters, and you've got fucking what's his name, Napoleon Williams.
Wilson. Napoleon Wilson.
Oh God, Napoleon Wilson and Desolation Williams. Jesus Christ! Jesus. But you've got him, and he's got genuinely funny lines.
Sure could use a smoke. Do you understand me, Wilson? You mumble a little bit. I get the general idea.
And he's played like Charles Bronson.
Yes, fucking hell, you're right, actually. And what I've noticed about classic Carpenter, that is classic Carpenter, is that there's just an acceptable level of schlock in everything he does. It revels in it. There's a glorious amount of schlock.
But even in Carpenter's more serious films, you'll have lines like Mac wants the flamethrower. Mac wants the what? He'll have like a moment of disbelief where it's just something very cheesy but extraordinarily cool. Yes. If not outright tongue-in-cheek, like, Big Trouble in Little China.
Yeah, I'm thinking of the potato scene in Assault on Precinct 13.
Yeah.
When they just do potatoes because I can't remember the name of the black guy, but he's saying that he's complaining how unlucky he is, and he never wants to flip a coin to see who's going to go out and do it because he's so unlucky. So let's do potatoes. Yeah. And then these two hardened killers just walk up and start slapping each other's hands, going potato, potato.
Yeah, like really getting into it.
Yeah, and it's played off to very stylish effect. And it's attempted once or twice in this, but
it would be like the thumb scene. So there's a scene in this where they're cutting open tins in order to make grenades. And a guy takes a can off of a woman and says, "That's not how you do it, baby. Let me show you how I do it." And he's high on drugs.
I've got a new metal beard.
And he chops the can open, holds it up, very happy, and it's revealed to us that his thumb has been cut off as well by the movement. Yeah. So that's like the potato movement. But, I mean, it's an interesting movie to contrast. No,
Yeah.
it's an interesting contrast here because they're very similarly plotted movies. And actually, a lot of people have pointed out Ghosts of Mars is like a best-of selection, but it's a best-of done rubbish. You know, it's like it could be anyone from The Thing, but done badly.
Yes.
It's, you know, the premise of Assault on Precinct 13, the character of Snake Plissken, you know, from the Escape movies. And in fact, this was originally meant to be an Escape movie with Kurt Russell's Snake Plissken playing Desolation Williams, but everyone decided that was a bad idea because Escape from LA sucked. There's a lot to compare between these two in particular.
With the dialogue, you can see they were trying to go for the feel of a cult film from the 70s. The same with the camera work. It even had the weird sound editing and awkward silences from his early work. But the style that worked with his better movies just really didn't work with what he was working with. Also with like that Blue Steel early noughties vibe that I got from the set.
Oh god, the aesthetic to this was awful. Everything was just red dirt, and I actually hear that in order to film like the cave sequences, everything was like pure white crystal that they then had to dye red, and it's like, it sounds like it was a much more interesting location before you did that. Just because it's Mars doesn't mean everything has to be red.
It just makes everything feel so unpopulated and
It feels very
unworked on, like
quiet.
unfinished.
Yeah, it's much quieter than, say, Assault on Precinct 13, which was made for way less money, but the aesthetic is way grittier, it feels more real, and it feels like a city. You know, one that's crippled by fear, but it feels like a city, this place. This feels like a set.
Yeah.
I mean, Carpenter was very influenced by westerns. If you look at Assault on Precinct 13, it's essentially a remake of Rio Bravo. And, you know, the character of... oh, God, I'm going to call him Desolation Williams. No, get out of my head, bad movie. Obscuring the good one. Napoleon. Napoleon was based on Charles Bronson's character from Once Upon a Time in the West, as codified by the line, he's got something about death about him. So he wears his influences on his sleeve. He's certainly not afraid to show it, and it feels like Ghosts of Mars was sort of heavily influenced by previous Carpenter films. But for me, the biggest problem is just that the cinematic style is gone. I mean, some of the decisions here are baffling. The fade-outs and fade-ins and swipes.
Oh my god, there were so many wipes. The choice of montage to show all the violent scenes was crazy. The wipes every time somebody was about to tell a story, it would be a new wipe.
And fading in and fading out and back into a sequence just seconds later. So if a character says, "Here, open the door and uncuff them," we fade out and then fade in and they're uncuffed.
Yeah.
And that's
Why
just
would you do
very
that?
strange. It creates the impression a lot of time has passed. That's what a fade-in does.
Yeah. Well, you say he wears his influences on his sleeve, but he's cannibalized old Carpenter. But there's what influences?
You know what it felt like? This to me felt like Francis Ford Coppola on Twixt, and you know, suddenly a guy who's been working on celluloid all his life has access to some digital filmmaking and editing software. It's like, oh look, I can make a star wipe. Couldn't do that back in the 70s. Let's do that.
Whoop, whoop, whoop.
Like
it's
a PowerPoint.
so inept.
I mean, I was amazed watching Assault on Precinct 13 again, how funny it is. Like, the lines are really good. Like, early on, you get endeared to Napoleon Dynamite.
Yeah.
Napoleon Bonaparte. You get endeared to him because he has that line when he gets, aside from constantly asking if anyone has a smoke, which is quite cute, he gets knocked in the head and falls off a chair, and the guy turns around to ask what happened, and he says, "I don't sit down in chairs as well as I used to." You know, it's funny and it's self-deprecating, and it endears you to him. I got nothing off of Desolation Williams other than a really aggressive attitude that I found really off-putting.
It works in 21 and 22 Jump Street.
Right.
Is the lesson that you can...
when the joke is...
he's an angry black man.
Yeah. Yeah.
But in this, the issue is there's no self-deprecation. There's nothing, there's no reflection. Everything is just out all the time, facing out.
Yeah, we're going to grab the audience's attention and affections.
Yeah, so it's just, you know, Jason Statham is a pervert. Natasha Henstridge is a no nonsense commander.
She breaks out a little bit. Like, I really enjoyed her drug habit because I remember as a kid that was relatively rare to have a sympathetic lead character who does recreational drugs by choice. And to be honest, I kind of like her decision to just kiss Jason Statham, because I figured maybe there was an attraction there that she didn't really want to explore, but, you know, there's ghosts outside. Yeah, fuck it, I'm up for a bone.
fuck it, why not? But I
DTF?
don't really think they explored that drug habit all that much. She took it
No.
once. Pam Grier went, "You're on drugs again," and then later Jason Statham went, "No."
Latham
Jason
Statham.
Williams went, "You're high right now," and she went, "Maybe I don't know how to behave high, but
Yeah.
sure."
Yeah,
they didn't really explore it. I wanted more of a
No.
if they were going to go for the flawed character thing,
Yeah.
then do it. Same
Yeah.
with the debrief. I mean, what the fuck were they thinking
Yeah,
with the
there's
debrief?
actually... Do you know what? There's something you could do with that narrative structure, which is this... If you had her lying to them, like
Yes.
constantly you see her...
Yes, this is
you know,
what
there's one moment, I think, where she says, oh, you know, this happened, when actually we see that it didn't. Maybe
Yeah.
if we have her lying, we could be like, well, why is she lying? What is she hiding? And we could have a bit of tension there and intrigue.
Yes, this is exactly what I was thinking. Have a flawed narrator, you know, or unreliable narrator. There's a reason why she's lying. Why is she lying? You know.
Yeah, we get to figure it out as the story goes.
I thought maybe that's what they were going to do with it, but they didn't, and
Yeah.
it just ended up being a completely pointless narrative device.
Yeah, and we have all these incredibly pointless flashbacks, like where it gets to the point a character just shows up in a room with a carrot, and it's like, how'd you get that? Well, I was walking down the street, and it cuts to them acquiring the carrot, and then they just walk into the room.
Yeah.
And then you asked me how I got this carrot, and I told you that I've been up the street, and I'd found the carrot, and come down here, and it's just, why this detail?
Yeah. If you're
Why
going
do
to
we need to find the bodies?
Yes, usually when you do that whole device of story from several different perspectives, you rash them on it. There's a reason for it. It's not just a way of telling the rest of the story.
Just intercut. It's fine.
Just intercut. Yeah, don't make it all from Natasha Henstridge's perspective.
Yeah,
because if you're doing that, then there's a reason for it. The smoking Henstridge. It's you've got
Chekhov's Henstridge.
There's a reason. Yeah, exactly. Chekhov's Henstridge. There's a purpose for having it from one person's perspective. But if there's not, all you're doing is hamstringing yourself into having to contrive ridiculous reasons for telling the story from other perspectives.
Yeah.
But by doing this, by telling it from all these different perspectives, you're messing with the pace and also the timeline of events. You'll have this big moment, and then they'll be like, oh yeah, then this also happened. And then they go back and revisit it, and then have the thing. So you then go back, but it already happened, and they don't show it properly anyway. So there's no pacing, there's no tension.
The music is really... The heavy metal...
The music is so terrible.
Yeah, the heavy metal really ruins some decent scare moments. And just makes the action very dated and silly.
It's Uwe Boll fare at this stage. The heavy metal music and the just fucking directionless action scenes.
It's just missing slow motion.
There was one, actually, I was going to ask this. There's about a minute or two of one of the fight scenes, and I can't remember which one it is, and I couldn't tell if it was slow motion or they were just moving
that slowly.
But with the intention of making it look like slow motion. My face. Maybe. I imagine the reality was that none of the people there could fight or had been trained to fight.
Well,
because
so it seems.
The other thing is that none of the characters looked battle ready. None of them looked like they'd gone through any amount of intensive training.
Yeah.
None of them looked like they were able to fire a gun or that they were ready for a crisis. They just like, this is the whole unpopulated world problem. Nobody looked like they were actually military.
Because
none of it was believable.
In Assault and Precinct 13, when the main character throws Napoleon Dynamite a gun, a shotgun, he just turns and fires off 2 shots instantly. Like,
and
it's
it looks
nothing.
Fucking great.
It looked great. It looked like fucking Lee Marvin in Point Blank, just powder and light and flash and
yeah.
And he does it
like,
for the rest of the movie.
He's a killer. There we go.
Yeah. Fuck yeah, Stone Cold. I didn't get the same from Ice Cube with his machine gun in each hand, doing his little skip, and looking quickly, furtively from side to side as he fires the 2 guns. The thing is, I do still have quite a bit of affection for John Carpenter, because he has directed some of my favourite genre movies. You know, The Fog, The Thing, Halloween. You know, the guy's a master, and it's very distressing to see his output so recently. There's some I haven't seen. I haven't seen his Lovecraft film, or I saw Vampires with James Woods, And there was a mean-spiritedness to it, I remember. I saw it when I was very young, but I just remember all the characters being kind of assholes. But then again, I think about The Thing, and they're all kind of assholes. So what's the difference? There's something about Kurt Russell that just has the sort of charisma that gets you through it. Maybe that's it. James Woods always just frightened me.
Yeah.
I think you need charisma to make it work. And I was surprised at how much charisma that actor who plays Napoleon Dynamite has.
Oh man, it's dripping. Yeah.
It's fucking great because he looks kind of like a squash Sam Rockwell. But sweet Christ, does he fucking ooze, control over every scene. And when I've never wanted two characters to fuck each other in a movie more than him and the orange shirt chick in that movie.
Yeah.
2 shots. Do I save it for the 2 of us?
You save them for the first 2 assholes who come through that vent.
I'm curious about one thing.
Just one?
No, there are other things. But at the moment, this one interests me the most.
What's that?
Why don't you climb through that vent and take off down the sewer in the other direction?
Well, there are 2 things a man should never run from, even if they cost him his life. One is a man who's helpless and can't run with you.
What's the other?
It's just like, please, God, let them have a moment. They've earned it.
Did you say moment or romance?
A romance moment. She was stone cold as well.
She was cool as ice, willing to sacrifice.
Yeah, the moment where she gets shot in the arm and just blinks is oh man.
The two of them did fuck. They fucked everyone in the room with that eye, with that gaze.
Fuck
man,
yeah,
that was good. But yeah,
that was chemistry.
To Natasha Henstridge's credit, she was exuding a bit of Charlize Theron from time to time. I
quite liked Henstridge in this. I quite like Henstridge. She was in a lousy Jean-Claude Van Damme movie called Maximum Risk.
Oh, nice.
And she's the chick from Species.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
But it was still lacking, I thought. She was still not believably a military girl. She was she was Tara Reid playing an archaeologist in a Uwe Boll film. I just can't separate this from Uwe Boll. It feels exactly like Alone in the Dark is my issue.
Yeah, and it's a shame because the premise to this is fabulous, I think. Yeah. Just, you're on Mars, there's ghosts. I think in terms of, correcting things, almost everything that's introduced could be done in an interesting way. You've just got to do it like that. Maybe it needed more time in development.
It's a very schlocky premise, though, I think.
I don't mind that. That's fine. What's the premise? They're transporting a prisoner, and ghosts attack.
Yeah.
So a couple of things. First of all, like we said, that narrative device needs to work.
Yeah.
So she's lying to the court, and we don't know why. She's hiding something, which maybe turns out to be that maybe she was in on it. Maybe she knew Desolation Williams from the drug world.
Yeah.
And that all of this was an attempt she all along planned to spring him, but couldn't do it while square Jason Statham was around.
Yeah.
And so had to wait until he was on his deathbed at the end, until she was like, sorry, honey. Yeah. This whole time, I was Natasha Henstridge.
Yeah.
No!
Oh,
so
bombs.
That.
Yeah.
Secondly, the ghosts, you can't just shoot them. Reduce how many of them there are, and you can't just shoot them because when you do, the ghosts leave and possess someone.
Yeah.
So it's now a horror thing like The Thing. And maybe you don't know who's possessed. So it becomes scary, but they are all sort of leaning into self-mutilation. But maybe they're doing it quite subtly. Maybe there's a moment where, at the very end of it, a character goes to shake another character's hand and says, I couldn't have done it without you. And as they're shaking hands, blood starts to drip down the sleeve.
Yeah.
And it turns out they've been, cutting their arms the whole time and that they're a ghost.
Oh, I'm a ghost now. By schlocky premise, I don't mean that it's inherently bad. I mean that it's just got to be handled with, just any amount of care.
Yeah. All right, let's quickfire.
Quickfire. The intro made me think of Mass Effect.
Okay. I really like there's a credit for special makeup effects.
Oh.
It's and there was some decent special makeup effects, to which deserves a credit in the front credits.
Yes, leading on from that, some very good piercings.
Yeah.
Some shots of people just piercing their faces, and their cheeks popping like balloons.
Ugh. Oh, I like the swirly Celtic thing on Natasha Henstridge's drug dispenser, which when she's high, she looks at it and it does a weird swirly thing.
I forgot that Jason Statham was in this, and the realization before his performance actually began was something akin to Boyd optimism.
I've got to say, I really dug his first scene.
You beat me. Looks like you played tots before.
No, I never done this.
Let's spin him again. One down and one up.
And I was like, oh god, if he maintains this level of definitely not a personitude throughout this whole thing, then I'll be very happy.
Yeah, it didn't quite maintain that, but the couple of times that he said fuck were probably the most natural thing in the entire movie. He's just come out of Snatch, he's feeling a bit tasty. And there's one line when he goes,
What the fuck is going on here, Lieutenant?
that's what a man would say. That's what a person does. Remember that.
Oh yeah, decent special effect on a throat getting cut. Like a layer of
Yes.
film that gets sort of peeled back there, and yeah, it's decent.
Ah, cool. That wasn't the death of Disconzo, was it? With the disc coming and cutting his whole fucking head off?
No, it wasn't. It was earlier than that, but that was delicious.
Disconzo was actually responsible for the one good shotgun blast in that entire fucking ridiculous fight. It's not quite... I was going to say Desolation Williams. It's not quite Napoleon Wilson style, but
Yeah.
he turns around and he just blasts a ghost with a shotgun.
Yeah.
Sounds good. It looks good. And he looks good when he's doing it.
I found an even better instance of Ice Cube's little bounce that he does when he's going into... it's when... I think it's early on when he goes into the town expecting to find loads of people, but there aren't any. He goes for the heist. So he just bounces into an empty room, sort of lower lip thoroughly bit, machine gun in each hand, like, yeah! Oh. There's no one there.
Oh, got all sexed up for nothing.
He goes into every room like that. So you get a name like Desolation. Oh, I like the reveal of Pam Grier's head on a spike. It's upsetting because we haven't seen her leave the group. We don't know where she's gone. There's no hint that something might have happened to her. And Jason Statham just approaches like someone doing something with a stick, and he runs up there.
Yeah.
And like first of all, we get a shot of his face looking really upset, like, oh no. And then it cuts and we see Pam Grier's head on a stick. It's quite abrupt. I like it. And we don't get a flashback of how it fucking happened.
No, true. Did you know it was going to be Pam Grier's head already?
I suspect.
It was quite obviously Pam Grier's head because it looked like it looked like Pam Grier's hair when everyone else was.
It looked an awful lot
fucking
like
awful.
Pam Grier's head.
I did like the we're meat now thing that the dead bodies had, which it reminded me a bit of Predator movie.
Yeah.
There's something about the dead body parts being desecrated.
Yeah.
That reminded me of the Predator pulling a spine out of someone and just holding it aloft. Like,
Yeah.
this is mine now. It's going on the wall. I like the idea that the government screws you out of time and pay by the fact that 1 year.
Oh
on
yeah.
Earth is 2 in Mars. That was a cool little thing.
Oh, that was a nice little bit of corporate cynicism.
Yeah.
Thanks, Carpenter.
It's very Verhoeven. I just feel like he was channeling Verhoeven, but through a sock.
It's weird. The name of the company that screwed the hard-working good people out of the money was Mustafa Akkad. It's a bit random.
On the nose.
Oh, you're representatives of the Mustafa Akkad company. What are you here to do? To screw you guys into the fucking ground.
And to fuck some kids, allegedly.
But definitely.
Uno, he has a great lesson learned face after Natasha Henstridge grapples him. After he gives it the big one and she twists his arm and snaps his hand.
Yeah.
When she lets go of him, he's like, "Ow, it really hurt. Never do that again."
I'm a better person now.
Crime doesn't
Movies.
pay.
I'm going to straighten up and fly right.
I'm going legit.
I'm going back to my dad's halal school.
My dad's halal farm.
Halal? Yeah. Would you like some halal, sir? What? You're not doing this right, mate. Oh, it's back to crime for me. Terribly complicated story, that guy.
I did try.
You'll never get the hang of it, son.
Bring shame to my halal farm.
No, Dad, that's not the feedback I'm getting. Oh, Jason Statham says a line, but I can't remember why he says it so funny, but the line is...
Turns your brain into Swiss cheese.
It's a real horror show.
There's something about cheese that's very good, but I can't remember what it is.
One of his sort of creepy douche chill lines really stood out. He's like talking about being persistent and winning people over, and he goes, "I've changed a few minds in my time," and it's this fucking amazing image of Jason Statham just begging women for a fuck.
Oh, go on.
Please, I'm so fucking lonely. Just touch it once. Look here, it's so cold and sad.
Look at my pecs.
Yeah.
I'm Ray Winston.
Disconsolately begging women, weeping, and then cutting back to him looking all like calm and confident. Changed a few minds in my time.
I don't know why. Maybe it's just because Jason Statham's a pretty fucking handsome motherfucker with a tight bod.
Yeah.
But when she does just kiss him, I was just like, yeah, I'd fuck him. I know it's been kind of I agree that it's not the old, mantra of, when a woman says, no, what she really means is, try again later. Be persistent. Yeah. That's how you get the ladies. And I dislike that, but
also,
that extraordinary.
Women love a bastard, don't they? All of them. So,
yeah.
That's what I've learned through nothing.
Fine.
No, but actually, I did think that she was the reason she did that was she was going to fuck with him. She was going to lead him on and then like grab his nuts and be like, listen here, you piece of shit. I won't sleep with you if you're the last man on, But actually, she was just like, well, we might die, so fuck it, let's bone down.
Yeah, and I like that. It's a little bit of sexual agency from her.
Yeah, that is probably what you do,
Yeah.
If you were confronted by a creepy Jason Statham, you're like, well, he has got a good bod, and I am going to die. So
he has got a diver's bod.
Yeah, fuck it. It's not like he's going to live to use this experience to other women's detriments later. Might as well just do it.
The line...
I really don't understand you at all, Desolation.
It's so crap that it must be on purpose.
Yeah.
They must have written that on purpose and just been like, like the good old-fashioned John Carpenter dialogue.
It must have been, right? Listeners at home, right?
Write in, tell us. Was this on purpose? Welcome to this week's...
Was this on purpose?
Do this?
Get a jingle for that. Was this on purpose?
Do this?
Ballard. One assumes a nod to JG.
Oh, yeah.
I guess so. That's good. I'm sure he was pleased with that.
This is a lot like High Rise.
Yeah. Is he dead? Was he dead at this time of filming?
Is he dead? Will he ever be dead?
Listeners, write in our latest segment. Is he dead?
Whilst we're talking about the fact that I quite like Jason Statham in this.
Yep.
I really liked the really affectionate way that he placed a psychotropic drug into an unconscious woman's mouth. He kind of stroked her face.
Oh, it's his cheeky chappy charm, isn't it?
That made it sweet when he stroked her face while she was unconscious. He did it with care, and there was a bit of sadness when he was like, sweet dreams, Natasha Henstridge.
Oh, that's so creepy. Pam Grier firing the shotgun on a flat wide shot looked amazingly like Richard Ayoade as Dean Lerner playing Thornton Reed in just about every shot of Dark Place. And there was a lot of Dark Place in this as well, wasn't there?
There were some very awkward moments. I really liked how the big bad would repeatedly get frustrated at having not caught those pesky kids. And so he would he's a hench kind of massive guy, who's a little hard to take seriously because all of his dialogue is, ah, ga, ga, da, ga, ga. Nevertheless, he's physically imposing, but they frequently have him running into a space and just going, ah, like wringing his fists and sort of, damn kids, Natasha Henstridge!
The horde of zombies chasing after them was literally hundreds of people. That's production value right there.
Well, hey! Get a load of that, James Gwen, whatever.
Gwen, 1, 2. Yeah, no, it was actually a real, like a film thing.
Yeah.
Like Peter Jackson.
Absolutely. I liked when the chick with the bob,
Clea Duvall from The Faculty, sir.
Watch The Faculty. From The Faculty, sir. Watch The Faculty. I really liked when she got decapitated. Because she ducked the first one and came back up again, and then a second one just lopped her head off.
When they're having the standoff after Ice Cube masterminds his way past the rookies, and they've all got guns pointed at each other, Natasha Henstridge goes, "Drop the gun, Descanso," and Ice Cube goes, "Yeah, drop the gun, Descanso." It's a very cool, like, attitude-y, but also massively childish way of dealing with a shootout.
Yeah, Descanso. I'm going to shoot Ice Cube.
Hate it when he does that.
Didn't work out, did it?
My name's not Descanso, it's Greg.
Greg Descanso. Sorry, we hadn't been formally introduced. I'm Desolation. Oh,
I know who you are, Desolation.
I really like the way Ice Cube stares intently at a little piece of wall just before he puts his hand on it to lean. He makes a real effort of just checking the wall before he leans on it.
If you've got to ask Ice Cube why he checks a piece of wall before he leans on it, you don't know Ice Cube. You don't know what happened.
You don't know the things he's seen. I've been let down by some pretty important walls in my life. You think a wall's going to be there for you? You're just playing games, kid. Because when your back's up against a wall and you need a wall to stand up on, well, doesn't make any sense, does it? You're like a sausage, Ice Cube. Get that the fuck away from me!
I'm telling you, a sausage I can't lean on.
I never meant a sausage I couldn't lean on. You can depend on sausages.
Oh, God. Okay, my last one. They kill someone and the ghost is floating about. When it goes into that old dude's ear.
Yeah.
It's a really cool... I really appreciated the lack of a reaction.
Yeah.
I was expecting him to suddenly go... and start kicking things over and peeling his face off, but all that it kind of looks like somebody blew in his ear.
Yeah.
And it's actually a setup as well.
You're right, that is what I meant by lack of reaction from possessed guy, which was a note way too vague for me to get. So, okay, last good thing. There is a moment where, who is it? I can only picture the characters from Assault on Precinct 13 now. It's Natasha Henstridge, and I think it's Statham, or it might be Desolation Williams. They're talking, and just outside of the eyesight, but in the foreground, for us, a door handle starts moving, which neither of them see. And then the door kind of opens, and it falls back, again without either of them seeing. The conversation carries on, and there's no music to confirm it whatsoever. It's not underscored, it just happens. And that was pure Carpenter. That was Carpenter from The Fog, it was The Thing, you know, it's just putting something in the frame that nobody else has noticed. You know, that's just Carpenter all over, and it gave me a little chill just to remember whose work I was watching.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, this guy used to know how to really fucking chill you.
It's the Michael Myers sitting up in the corner of the room to no musical sting.
It's a bit of a shame, but you know what? Having gone through all of these moments, I can remember now that I did spend quite a bit of this film laughing.
Yeah, laughing at. So.
Yeah, well, laughing at's fine. We've recommended films for less. It's frustrating because of all the things that might have been and all the things that were. But, you know,
look,
I mean, it's one of the worst films we've watched.
It's worth watching just to see how John Carpenter could go so wrong.
Yeah, how not to do a cult movie and how to mess up a really interesting premise.
Yeah.
Right, well, let's talk about the one better thing. The one better thing.
Trying to think of the one better thing, my mind whirled around things like Resident Evil, Doomsday, Centurion, and then I felt weird about Neil Marshall for a bit, but there's this rich vein of post-apocalyptic horror action to feast your tits on. On one hand, you've got Danny Boyle's very good go at the thing, 28 Days Later, with a sexual Cillian Murphy and some sexual Brendan Gleeson playing Ray Winston. Very quick, it's ruthless, and ramps up the tension no end. You've got Zombieland on the other side of that, which is very smart and funny, and some really good gore. But in the interest of suggesting something a little lesser known, but probably not all that much, give Charlie Brooker's Dead Set a go. It's a 5-part story, of people either on Big Brother or working on the Big Brother show, holding up in the Big Brother house to avoid a zombie apocalypse. Some very funny cameos. Andy Nyman is absolutely brilliant in it. And, Jamie Winston, the actor Kevin Eldon, and Riz Ahmed are in it too.
Cool. Good recommendation, sir. My recommendation is going with the siege angle of things. And, Oh, first of all, we absolutely must fucking say that you should go and watch Assault on Precinct 13 if you haven't. The original 1978 John Carpenter version. It's really good fun. It still holds up as a really genuinely entertaining, crowd-pleasing cult movie. But if you'd like something a bit more modern, of a similar sort of premise, I would recommend Jeremy Saulnier's The Green Room. It's a movie about a punk band who go and play for a Nazi club. The gig seems to go well as it can go, and then they come back to the green room to discover a murder has occurred. The band is suddenly held in the room, things get tense, and it escalates into a sort of standoff situation with the Nazis on the outside and the punk band on the inside. How are they going to get out? You know, it's a really brutal fucking movie. It's deaths happen suddenly and abruptly. You know, it's suddenly and abruptly, mind you. It's very Bone Tomahawk. It's very disturbing.
Don't even say that name.
It's a movie where death can just happen in an instant, and that means that the effect of that is that the tension is fucking tight as a piano string. It just, you know, it maintains it throughout the entire thing. This feeling of unease and danger, and that you want our characters to get out. Especially a fabulous performance by Anton Yelchin, and who plays the punk girl? She's not the punk girl, sorry. She's the Nazi. One of the Nazis is stuck in there with them, but she becomes sympathetic, and so she becomes the sort of guide to the Nazis outside.
Careful now.
Imogen Poots.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, she's fantastic in it, and we haven't mentioned yet, of course, that Patrick Stewart plays the head Nazi.
Yes.
Yeah, the leader of the skinheads, and he's fucking great. He's really,
else.
Yeah, he's really frightening. He abandons every shred of that charm he used to have and just exudes a sort of cool competence and an utter ruthlessness. And Macon Blair, star of Blue Ruin, his previous film is in there, giving another heartbreaking performance as perhaps the most nuanced character, the Nazi who, doesn't want to do this anymore.
Yeah.
He's a really upsetting presence. It's it's a fabulous film, very well acted, extraordinarily well directed, tense throughout, and it's got some violence that might just put the shits up here.
Also, good recommendation, sir.
Ah, thank you. That was the one better thing. The one better thing. All right, sir. How can people find out about one good thing?
Well, one good idea is to get in touch with us on Gmail. OGTpod@gmail.com. Or if that's a little bit too, fucking old-timey-wimey for you, then you can go on Twitter or Facebook with your Google Glass. Send things there. It's OGTpod / or @OGTpod. If you want to leave a review or subscribe to the podcast, if you haven't already, you can do that on iTunes, Podbean, Stitcher, most good podcatchers. And finally, if you really want to help us out, if you really want to do us a solid, if you really want to slip us an old, fiver, an old metaphorical fiver, then tell a friend. Tell one friend.
Get someone involved.
If 10 of you each tell the same friend, and then that person... Wait.
If that person then tells himself, then we all become Jason Statham.
Yes. God help Natasha Henstridge. And all those Natasha Henstridges out there. And you know what? From me, from one Paul, and I assume the other Paul, to all those Natasha Henstridges out there, going about the daily grind.
Just stay safe.
Fighting off those Jason Stathams. Take drugs and
be badasses.
Eventually,
join a biker gang.
Yeah, and eventually there'll be a matriarchy.
There will be, and that'll be good for all of us. I'm Paul Sold.
I'm Paul Goodman.
And remember, the one good thing about John Carpenter's Ghosts of Mars is that a door opens